Good morning, beautiful people. It's time for breakfast, so cake for breakfast. Look at this motley crew. 11 of us travelling through Denmark. I love that. So we've just reached Christiania, which is one of the most visited tourist attractions in Copenhagen, but it's a place with really interesting history. So it used to be an army barracks, and then in the 1970s people from the surrounding areas came in and brought their children. They broke some fences or something and they brought their children in so that they could use it as a playground. And then slightly later on it was opened as a sort of like part of the hippie movement for people in the surrounding areas in reaction to the government, because they couldn't find any affordable housing. And it's been linked to like anarchism movements and collectivism, because basically it's declared itself a free town which is not restrained by the laws of Denmark. It's had a tumultuous history and it's been very linked with drugs and homelessness and basically just a reaction to government, but it's been something that's been an important part of the city, and also how people have seen Denmark as a progressive country for the past 50 years really.
Statue of Liberty in chains. We think.
I think that's a good interpretation.
Our artistic interpretation.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I think it's fitting for the area as well.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, we've stopped at a little cafe to escape the cold and get some coffee. It's a really interesting place where you can just walk down the street and there's people openly smoking weed, and then you just carry on a little bit further and you can see that it's definitely a very big tourist attraction now. So it's very different to how it would have been when it was first sort of opened in the 70s for people to settle here as kind of a reaction to the government. But I just got told by a guy with a fat spliff in his hand that I wasn't allowed to film anywhere near, so I'll put this camera away now. So I was just very forcefully told to put the camera away as I walked towards the main street where they're selling certain things. I'll leave some links down below if you're interested in the history of the area or what goes on here. I'll leave some links down in the description and you can see for yourself. But it's got an interesting vibe here, and obviously I didn't film when they said don't film. I want to respect the place, and I can see why they don't want that here. But it was a cool street. The place as a whole is just covered with loads of cool street art, and it does seem very almost like grungy as a place. Like, look, even there's just a lot of like, some of it just seems a little bit run down, but in a very edgy kind of cool way, and you can see why it's become a touristy attraction. But I guess that now that means it's just very different to how it was established. Just before we came to Christiania, we we were reading up on the history of the place and how it's developed, and obviously with tourism and other things it's changed, but also it started as this anarchist sort of place that had declared itself separate from Danish rule, but then more recently they've acquired the land from the government, well, from the military, and they now own it, and on top of that they also pay taxes to the surrounding areas for things like trash collection and other things. So it's just pretty cool to see how it's changed as an area over time, as I guess as people have found out more and more about it. Hiya, just one please.
Yes, 25.
Sorry, that's all I have.
Yeah. You're gonna have 175.
Tag. So after a quick stop for lunch, we're now on our way up to the top of the tower for a viewpoint. But what's pretty cool about this place is there's no steps that you have to climb, it's just literally a slope. Just curling round and round. Oh, I lied. There's some steps here. You can just look out and see it's just such a flat city. There's pretty much no skyscrapers whatsoever, and it's just so nice to be able to see for absolutely miles and miles and miles. There's also loads of almost like power stations with the smoke billowing out of them. You can see these just up here, and there's more and more of those just dotted around every part of the city that you can see from this sort of 360-degree viewpoint. That's so nice.
I actually just made an observation about how like quiet it's been here. Like not like
Yeah,
it's not been dead, but I was just comparing it to when I was in Venice, and like being at the top of the viewpoint there was just manic, and like you had to take a picture and then move so someone else could, and it's just a bit more like you can just take it in.
Yeah.
You can just immerse yourself in it.
I think it's a very calm place.
Yeah, I feel calm.
It's really peaceful.
We've eaten a lot of cake and drunk a lot of coffee and had a lot of castle, which is break.
Yeah. It's exactly what I want.
What is up, beautiful people? Today was a very cool day. I really feel like I didn't do a good enough job of explaining the significance of Christiania for Copenhagen and for Denmark, and I think it was due to a few things, but when I was walking through and I was suddenly, not too aggressively, but quite forcefully told that I wasn't allowed to film in certain areas and stuff, I felt a bit sort of like awkward about filming sometimes, and I didn't want to talk too much about the area while I was there. So what I'm going to do is like leave a link down below that you can go and check out and read up on the history and why this place is so important, because it is a really interesting read, and I'm so glad we got to visit, and it was just a really cool place. It's kind of strange because A few of the guys have already left now to go back to work tomorrow, and it feels like the trip is winding down. Tomorrow evening I'll be on a flight, this time going back home. So it's pretty crazy. It feels like it's gone kind of quick, but it also feels like for a city break we've had a nice amount of time for Copenhagen. We haven't been rushing around too much, and we've been like having some very chilled days, sitting in cafes and things like that. I'm gonna finish today's vlog up around about here. I hope you've enjoyed exploring a little bit more of what Copenhagen has to offer with me, and thank you so much for watching. Big love. It feels good around here. It's exactly what we wanted from the trip. Is eating a lot, drinking nice warm drinks, and being calm. That's what we like.
We got quite drunk as well.
Have you noticed that it's not cold or windy up here at all?
Yeah. Maybe that's what's happened to the calm. We're just saying how calm it is.
Yeah.
It's been a very calm holiday.